Every once in a while, we'll see a driver dominate a race and lead a ton of laps and win, like we did last week at Darlington with Martin Truex Jr. Every once in a while, we'll see a team have 2 or 3 cars in the top 5 all day long and lead a bunch of laps and win. Yeah, we see that every once in a while. But rarely, so rarely in fact, that in the 70 plus years of NASCAR, we've only seen it happen 3 times, does a team lead almost the whole race and finish first, second, third, and fourth. Hendrick Motorsports did that today. Alex Bowman won at Dover. Golly, like we haven't seen the 48 car win at Dover enough. I mean, seriously, Jimmy Johnson retired and we thought we'd never see or not never, but we thought that the Dover winning would stop happening with the 48 car. And Alex Bowman just started to get the tradition back going again. Kyle Larson dominated today, led 260-something laps. Bowman led 80-something laps. Byron led 30-something laps. And Elliott finishes third. But second, Larson, as I said, dominated today. Third, Elliott, I think. Fourth, Byron. It doesn't matter if you were the weakest Hendrick car today. You were still 4th place. You were still 3rd place if you were the second to worst car today. All 4 of those cars had race-winning speed. The only problem is that they had teammates today. If they didn't have teammates, any one of those guys could have won today. But Hendrick Motorsports, oh my gosh. This is the first time I've ever seen a performance like that by a single team where all 4, like a 4-car team. We've seen 1, 2, 3 finishes. The 2019 Daytona 500, Joe Gibbs Racing finished 1, 2, 3. We've seen that before. But in my 10-plus years as a NASCAR fan, I have never seen a team with all 4 of their cars go out and run top 4 for probably at least, 150, 200 laps today. They just obliterated the field. Larson, as I said, led a ton of laps. Bowman led the last 80, I want to say. And then Byron led some at the beginning. But after that, whew, Hendrick Motorsports smoked the field today. Like, it wasn't even fair at some points. Like, if you looked at the finishing intervals, I don't know if it's on here, but Bowman beat Larson by a second or 2, and then Elliott was another second or 2 behind. And then I think Byron was like 6 or 7 back. But then after that, it was like forever. It was like another 5 seconds to Logano, another 2 seconds to Harvick. I mean, I don't know what they did to those cars this week, but Hendrick Motorsports, my goodness. You guys know me. I'm trying to get the results here. I'm a big Hendrick Motorsports fan, so if it was going to be any team that did that, I would love for it to be Hendrick Motorsports because I'm a Hendrick Motorsports fan. But seriously, guys, that was impressive. My chair is squeaking. Got to scoot up a bit. But my goodness, what a performance by all 4 of those cars. Rick Hendrick, that's probably the best he's had to feel after a race. You know, he's had a bunch of 1, 2, 3s. He's had a 1, 2, 3 in the Daytona 500. He's had 1, 2, 3 many other tracks. He's had tons of drivers win for him. But a 1, 2, 3, 4 with a new driver lineup and only 13 races into the season, man, this is a scary moment for the future of NASCAR. If you are not Rick Hendrick, I mean, seriously, golly. And it was at Dover of all places. Ugh, let's get into this race. Yeah, I missed a bit between stages 1 and 2. I think like the end of stage 1, beginning of stage 2 I missed. But other than that, nothing really chaotic. No leaders taken out. No big contenders crashed or anything. Chase Briscoe blew a tire and was basically out of contention. At some point, Kyle Busch had engine problems all day, so he was never in contention after about lap 20. Other than that, no big storylines outside of the Hendrick dominance. Once again, no big crashes, no big incidents, nothing like that in terms of impacting the winner of this race. Rain did threaten the race for a bit near the end with about 60 to go. The radar, some cell popped up south of the track, but it just sat there. The vortex theory was in full effect. It did not go to the racetrack. It did not rain. There was no lightning in the area. We were able to complete all 400 laps today. And no problem there. That could have made things extra interesting, I guess. There were some cautions for spins. Eric Almirola, man, his luck just cannot get any better. That team, they were already having a tough year with speed, but when they do have speed, something happens. They crash, they blow a tire, something breaks in the suspension. They were running, I think, 12th, having such a good day. Blew a tire, hit the wall really hard. Eric Almirola looked like he was a little shaken up after that crash. I really hope that he's okay. They've had such a tough year, but hopefully he is okay. He was checked and released from the infield care center, but still, Hopefully he can rest up for next week's race at Circuit of the Americas. But my goodness, I mean, I seriously don't know what else to say about Hendrick Motorsports. But that win is number 267 for the organization, 1 win away from tying Petty Enterprises for the most wins in NASCAR history for a single team owner, Rick Hendrick. So, or single organization, I guess you should say. Yeah, Rick Hendrick has had some success if you did not know. 4 championships with Jeff Gordon, 93 wins. 7 championships with Jimmy Johnson, 83 wins. A good chunk of wins with Dale Earnhardt Jr., a good chunk of wins from Casey Kane. 11 wins in a championship with Chase Elliott, a championship with Terry Labonte, and a good chunk of wins. Wins with Kyle Larson, obviously, this year. He's got 4 wins with Bowman now. Wins with Byron. He's got wins with tons of drivers. I mean, Rick Hendrick is a winner in NASCAR. If you didn't know that, he's about to be the winningest owner in NASCAR history. So you better know it by now. Rick Hendrick, arguably the greatest car owner of all time in NASCAR, at least, might be knocking on the door, if not arguably, but the greatest team owner of all time. I mean, seriously, what an organization. I mean, so many wins, so many championships. They have so many records already, and 1 win away from tying that record for most wins in NASCAR history at 268. But yeah, man, let's get into the finishing results, I guess. So Alex Bowman gets his 2nd win of the season. Remember, he won at Richmond earlier this year. He stole that win, was able to use a late race restart. That last 10 laps, that short run, was able to steal that win at Richmond. Well, today, I guess you could say he stole it. Larson, he didn't choke on pit road, but Bowman had a really good stop. Larson had a slower stop, and Bowman took the lead off pit road. Well, there were still 80 to 90 laps left in that race. Larson had plenty of time to go catch him, time to pass him. Bowman just outran him in that last chunk of runs. There were a few cautions, a few opportunities to get a better restart. Larson chose the top to follow Bowman, but Larson was just he closed in for a bit, but was never able to catch him. He was never able to actually get there, make any type of moves. He wasn't even able to get to the bumpers. So Bowman and that team, they just really did everything perfect there at the end. A great pit stop to give them the track position, to give them the clean air out front, and then at the end there was able to just have the speed to hold off his teammate. Not even hold off. I mean, once again, Larson wasn't there. It's not like he was getting any pressure, but all 4 of those Hendrick cars were so good today. Whoever was out front there at the end was going to win, and it showed. Larson may have dominated the day. He may have swept the stages. He may have led 260-something laps, but Bowman at the end, they executed at the end. They did everything right at the end, and it showed up in their results with a big, fat W. Kyle Larson 2nd, man. Even at Chip Ganassi, I feel like we've said this so many times. Kyle Larson dominates a race. He leads 200-something laps. He sweeps the stages, 2nd place. It's happened again. I mean, Larson's won a good chunk of races in his career. I think 6 or 7. He's going to win a ton more in his career, but at what point does he just start clicking them off like it's nothing? When does he start winning back-to-back races? When does he start winning 5 to 6 races in a season? Because that's what it's felt like this year. Larson dominates Atlanta. He dominates this week at Dover. He's dominated some of these races, but he ends up 2nd. Something happens. Where were we at a couple weeks ago? Kansas gets shuffled up in the late race restart. It's like something happens to prevent him from winning. When's he going to just start just destroying the field, I guess, and just winning nonstop, And it just feels like, every week he dominates. He leads so many laps like we've been talking about, but he can't close. When's that going to happen? When's he going to consistently be able to close? Obviously 2nd place isn't the end of the world. And on a day like today when his teammates were all equally fast, that's not bad, obviously. But, that team wants the playoff points. They want those 5 playoff points. They want that monster trophy. It's such a difficult pill to swallow, I'm sure, for that team because they've come so close so many times this year. They've got to win. They're in the playoffs, but they want more. They want more playoff points. They want more trophies, right? But, 2nd to their teammate. Bittersweet, I'm sure, but Good day for Kyle Larson. He did get some playoff points with those stage wins. By the way, Greg Ives gets himself a Dover win as a crew chief. He had won a bunch of times with Jimmy Johnson as a mechanic on that car, as I think a car chief at one point. Correct me if I'm wrong there. So congratulations to him and the 48 team for that. But yeah, once again, Kyle Larson, so close to it so far. The 48 team back in victory lane at Dover. Because if Bowman ends up just clicking off wins at Dover like it's nothing, like Jimmy did, oh man. Man, oh man. Third place, Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott, just like his teammates, winning speed today, but his teammates existed, so he wasn't able to do it. But a really good run. Arguably the best of the season for that team, I would say. They've had a bit of a rough year. They've had some problems. They've had some poor timed cautions. They haven't been leading laps like they did last year. They haven't been in contention for wins like they were last year. But this is a good stretch of tracks for Elliott, good stretch of races. And to run in the top 4 all day long. He didn't lead any laps, but he was in the top 4. He was up there competing for the lead at times. That's a good stretch. And next week is Circuit of the Americas, a road course. They have to be thrilled about that, but I'm going to be there so he won't win because I'm a jinx to my drivers at the track, guys. I'm sorry. Fourth, William Byron led some laps early on in this race, was in the top 4 just like his 3 teammates most of the day, especially the second half of this race. The weakest Hendrick link, but it's a 4th place finish. Like, imagine telling someone you're going to be the worst performer for your team today in your 4-car team. They're going to be like, oh, man, I don't want to do bad. I'm going to finish like 20th or something. That'd be something for Hendrick, like a bad day for Hendrick. And then after the day, they're like, oh, you said I was the worst car. It's like, yeah, you finished 4th. Where did my teammates finish? Oh, they finished 1, 2, 3. Golly, man. I mean, what a day for that team. Hendrick Motorsports. Whew. 5th place, Joey Logano. Joey Logano, he struggled at Dover in the past, but today he had a good run. He was in the top 10 for the most part. He was outside of the top 10, but that last run, I mean, he was fast. He was extremely fast. He passed Bubba. He passed Denny. He passed Harvick. He passed all these guys, was able to get up to 5th on that last long green flag run and get himself a solid top 5 finish. Good for that team. 6th place, Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick, if it wasn't for Hendrick Motorsports, he probably would have had the best car today. That was a very good sign for me for Stewart-Haas Racing today, that 3 of their 4 cars were really fast today. Harvick was in the top 5, 5th to 6th to 7th. He was in that range all day long. Cole Custer ended up getting a top 10. Eric Almirola, before his tire blew, he was running just outside of the top 10. And as for Briscoe, I can't remember what he was running before he had his problems. But yeah, for 3 of the 4 Stewart-Haas cars to be really good today, that is a very promising sign considering how bad they've been all year outside of Harvick. But really good day for Harvick. I'm sure he wanted that win, but he's going to have some great opportunities in the upcoming weeks. Charlotte, Coca-Cola 600, they're really good at the 1.5 miles. Looking down the road, I guess Texas is the all-star race, so that's not a point. But anyways, we won't veer off into that. 7th place, Denny Hamlin. Good solid day for him. I mean, he's going to extend his points lead again. 8th place, Tyler Reddick. Really good. He was up in near the top 5 for a bit. Slipped back on that final run, but still. 8th place finish. Good top 10. I think both RCR cars were in the top 10 for a bit there, but it's Reddick who ends up getting the top 10 and 8th. Good run for him. 9th, Daniel Suarez. He was in the top 10 that whole last run. In fact, he was up in 6th on that final restart with about 50 to 60 to go. Really good run for him. Really good run for Trackhouse Racing. Another top 10 for them. Remember, they did really good at Bristol Dirt. They led some laps. They went up and competed for the win, in fact, but ended up with a top 5, top 10 there. And they get a top 10 today. So, yeah, another good run for Trackhouse Racing. I tell you what, they could be an underdog next week. It's a new track, but it's also a road course. Suarez has had some really good runs in his history at road courses. Look at 2017 Watkins Glen, I believe. He led some laps, won a stage, finished in the top 3. So Suarez, he could be a dark horse next week at Circuit of the Americas. Watch out for him next week. 10th place, Cole Custer. Once again, just like we talked about a couple minutes ago, Stewart-Haas Racing, they have struggled this year. They've been horrible outside of Harvick, but for 3 of their cars, speed-wise, to be in the top 10, top 15, and have 2 of their cars finish in the top 10, that is a good, solid day for them. Custer wrecked out last week at Darlington, was able to come back, compose himself, and ends up with a top 10 today at Dover. Good, solid run. 11th place, Bubba Wallace, the best finish for 23:11 so far this season. Was running in the top 10 that last run, made a pit strategy to stay out while others went and pitted. It was only a 6 to 7 lap difference on the tires, and so it didn't affect them too much. Remember at Phoenix, they made a really bad call to stay out on like 20, 30 lap old tires, and they ended up going to the back of the lead lap. But this time that call ended up working out. They didn't quite get a top 10, the first top 10 in 23XI's history, but an 11th place finish, a top 15 for the first time this season. It's a step forward for 23XI Racing, and that's what they need right now. So solid run for them. 12th place, Ryan Blaney. 13th place, Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch was in the top 10 for a bit there. 14th, Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon, just like I said a minute ago, RCR was in the top 10 for a bit. Chastain was in the top 10 for a bit. He ends up 15th. Brad Keselowski, man, he almost caused a wreck today. 16th. Chris Buescher was in the top 10 for a bit, but ends up 17th. Ryan Preece, 18th. Martin Truex Jr. led the first 15 laps, I want to say, before being passed by Byron, but ends up 19th. I saw he had some tape on the nose. That happened when I was gone, so I don't know if he rear-ended someone, if he hit someone on pit road, but obviously that affected his performance because he was 20th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 21st, Christopher Bell. I kind of forgot he existed today. What was up with that? 22nd, Eric Jones, 23rd, Ryan Newman, 24th, Matt DiBenedetto, just like I said with the Bell. I kind of forgot he existed today, and he's one of my favorite drivers, so, God, hopefully they get it together next week. 25th, Michael McDowell. 26th, Corey LaJoie. 27th, Kyle Busch had an engine issue earlier in this race. And, they were, after 20 laps, the engine just went bad, and they were bad all day. 28th, Anthony Alfredo. 29th, Quinn Houff. 30th, Josh Berry in his first career Cup start, replacing Justin Haley, who is out due to COVID protocols. Josh Berry, 30th place finish. Very good Xfinity driver. He's got an Xfinity win, so yeah, hopefully, I like Josh Berry. 31st, Cody Ware. 32nd, Garrett Smithley. 33rd, James Davison. 34th, Josh Bilicki. 35th, Chase Briscoe had a tire issue, had a lot of damage, ended up like 70 laps down. BJ McLeod, 36th, he had an engine issue, and 37th, Eric Almirola, man. That team has the worst luck this year. When they run bad, they run bad. They run 25th to 30th, and it just goes awful. And when they run good, something happens. They get in a crash. They have a tire blow. I mean, this team cannot catch a break. You got to think, one of these races, something good's got to happen to this team, but it just isn't happening. Man, I like Eric Almirola. He seems like a decent guy. He got that win with Stewart Haas Racing in his first year, but I just want him to do good. But, that's your finishing results. As for the race itself, it really, outside of my Hendrick biasness, because I'm extremely happy that Hendrick was able to get a 1, 2, 3, 4, it felt very similar to last week's race in the matter of one guy, one team this week. It was one team, Hendrick Motorsports, dominated the race, and so there wasn't much competition in those front 4 spots, especially the second half of the race. But outside of that, it was fun. The drivers had to drive the cars. We saw the top, the bottom. We saw a lot of good racing. We had some moments where I thought there was going to be a 10-car wreck with Chastain, Keselowski, Harvick, Logano. I think we're all in this little bunch after a restart, and they were going 3, 4 wide, cars slipping up the racetrack, cars bumping into each other, bumping guys out of the way to make passes. I mean, I thought that was extremely entertaining to watch that. Once again, not the most action-packed race in terms of crashes, late race restarts, pit strategies, but a fun race. And sometimes a team's going to kick your butt. We don't see that happen very often where all 4 cars in one organization kick everyone's butt, but it happened. So I think I'm going to give a 7. I think I gave last week a 7.8, so I'm going to give this week an 8. Slightly better. I'll let my Hendrick bias bump it up to an 8. But yeah, it was a good solid race. It's not the history part of it's going to be remembered, but the race itself is not going to be it's not going to be something that we look back on 30 years from now like, oh, that was a great overall race. But it wasn't a bad race. The racing itself was good. I enjoyed it, but Hendrick Motorsports dominates. They destroy the field. Rick Hendrick showed up, and he he punched Miles the Monster in the face, and he said, "Mine, my track, mine." And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Bowman wins. I mean, Bowman wins at Dover, adding on to the 48's legacy at Dover. Hendrick Motorsports getting close to history. But yeah, if you like this video, you like this race recap thing, let me know in the comments. Leave a like, whatever. Let me know what you thought of this race in the comments. That's what I meant to say. I mean, let me know what you think of the race itself, the racing itself. Let me know what you think of Hendrick Motorsports and their performance today. Is this the best Hendrick Motorsports has been since a long time? I mean, I don't know, but it feels like it. So yeah, thanks for watching.